Now, in this video, we will going to discuss about the stress-strain relation. A stress-strain relation or diagram for the ductile material. The stress-strain relation on a ductile material is obtained by conducting the tensile or tension test in the laboratory on standard specimen. The following information can be obtained from the tension test. So one is the proportional limit. Second one is the elastic limit. Third one is modulus of elasticity. Fourth one is yield strength. Fifth one is ultimate tensile test. Sixth one is modulus of resilience. Then the seventh one is the modulus of toughness. Eighth one is percentage of elongation. And ninth one is percentage of reduction in area. So first we need to consider a round bar having this type of cross section, and here we have D0, which is original diameter of the specimen. So then what is L0? This is the gauge length of the specimen, gauge length. And of course we have the two loads which is acting opposite to each other, so that means it is the tensile load where the load applied is P, and the gauge length which will going to be the L0, and D0 is the original diameter of the specimen. So first what I need to do, the cross section of the specimen can be either circular or square or rectangular. So that's what here we have to consider the circular cross section. So initially the gauge length is marked on the specimen, and the initial diameter or initial dimension D0 and L0 are noted before starting the test. So here, first we need to measure the diameter of the specimen, which is D0, and also the gauge length by considering what is the distance between these two. The specimen is then mounted on the universal testing machine. So we are trying to conduct the experiment on universal testing machine, which is UTM, and gripped in the jaws. An extensometer is fitted to the test specimen, which measures extension over the length L0. So these are the two gripped jaws wherein it is going to be connected on one on this side and the other one on this side, and then the extensometer is connected to the specimen so that it is in turn connected to the reading, which measures the extension of the length L0. It is then subjected to an axial tensile load. Which is increased by suitable increments at regular interval of load. That is, after each increment, the amount by which the gauge length L0 increases, that is, deformation of gauge length, is obtained from the extensometer. So as they gradually it will going to apply the load on the member, so what happens, there will be a change in the length of the cross section, change in the length of the bar, and also the cross section of the bar. So after each increment, the amount by which the gauge length L0 increases, that is, deformation of gauge length, is obtained from the extensometer. The procedure of measuring the tensile load and the corresponding deformation continue till the specimen fractures or breaks into two pieces. So what he says, so as you apply the load gradually, accordingly the deformation can be measured by using the extensometer. So corresponding to the deformation continue till the specimen fractures, till the specimen gets fractures or breaks into two pieces. A tensile load divided by the original cross-sectional area of the specimen gives the stress, while the deformation divided by the original gauge length gives the strain in the specimen. The value of stress and the corresponding strain are used to draw the stress-strain diagram of the material. So here you can see that the stress is known and the strain is known. Depending upon the particular type of stress, at this what will going to be the strain. As we start plotting it, the values are getting plotted, so you will going to get, this is the nature of the curve which you will going to get after the applications of load. So what is the figure shows a typical stress strain diagram for ductile material like mild steel. So here P is the proportionality limit, E is the elastic limit, and YU is the ultimate yield point or upper yield point, and YL is the lower yield point or lower yield point, and U is the ultimate strength, and B is the breaking point or the rupture. Or the rupture point. So nominal or conventional or engineering stress strain curve. This is the true stress strain curve. So this is how you will going to be able to identify these in this stress strain diagram. So first one, we are going to take up the proportional limit. So what is the proportional limit? From O to P is a straight line, and after the point P, the curve begins to deviate from the straight line. Hooke's law states that stress is directly proportional to strain. From O to P, that is the proportional limit. The curve is a straight line. After the point P, the curve begins to deviate from the straight line. So from P to E, after the application of load, it tends to deviate as a curve till to such time P you have a straight line. So Hooke's law states the stress is directly proportional to strain. Hooke's law also holds good up to the point P. So that means up to this point P, Hooke's law, that is stress is directly proportional to strain within the elastic limit. So that condition is satisfied. So till to the point P. Hooke's law holds good up to the point P, and this point is known as proportional limit. It is defined as a point at which the stress begins to deviate from the straight line. So what is the Hooke's law? Holds good up to the point P. Why up to the point P? Because it is a linear line. That means the stress is directly proportional to strain. After that point, the curve tends to deviate. So on the completion, it won't come back to the original position. So it deviates from the stress begins to deviate from the straight line. So next one is the elastic limit. Up to the point E, the material will regain its original shape and size when the load is removed. It means that the material has elastic properties up to the point E. This point E is slightly beyond point P and is known as elastic limit. So here up to point E, you are going to have the elastic limit. Material will regain its original shape. It means point. Elastic limit of the material is defined as the maximum stress without any permanent deformation. Next comes the yield strength. That is up to point Y, yield strength, YU. If the material stress beyond the point E, plastic deformation occurs and the material starts yielding. So if the material is stressed beyond the point E, so that means beyond the point E, there is a form of a permanent deformation. Plastic deformation occurs and the material starts yielding. That is, on the removal of load, the material will not be able to regain its original shape and size. Beyond the point E, the strain increases at a faster rate up to the point YU. That is, there is an appreciable increase in strain without much increase in stress. So that is what here he mentions. So up to the point YU, yield strength. So there is a considerable increase in the stress, but without much increase in strain. There is an appreciable increase in strain without much increase in stress. So YO is called the upper yield point. Then the curve drops down to the lower yield point YL. At this stage, the stress remains same, but strain increases for some time. So here, if you see beyond the application of the further increase in the application of load, there is an appreciable increase in the strain, but without much increase in stress. That is YU. So, appreciable increase in strain without much increase in stress. Therefore, point YU is called upper yield point. Then the curve drops to the lower yield point. So here, then the curve drops to the lower yield point YL. So YL, at this stage, the stress remains same, but the strain increases for some time. So that is here, if you consider here YL and YU. So there is no change in the stress, but only there is appreciable increase in strain. Then the curve drops to lower yield point YL. At this stage, the stress remains same, but the strain increases for some time. This phenomenon of increase in strain without increase in the stress or without any appreciable increase in load is called yielding. So this is the nature of the phenomena which will going to be takes place, wherein the increase in strain without any appreciable increase in load is called yielding. So that means YL is equal to Y. So you can see both these 2 points are on the same line. So naturally there is not much appreciable increase in stress, but instead you have an appreciable increase in strain. This phenomenon of increase in strain without any appreciable increase in stress is known, or without any appreciable increase in load, is known as the yielding. For most materials, the points YU and YL are very close to each other. So that means what he is talking about is this YU and YL, which is very close here in this figure. We have been exacerbated and it is almost very close. It becomes very difficult to identify which is YU and YL. Yield strength is defined as the maximum stress at which the marked increase in elongation occurs without increase in load. So then comes the ultimate strength. After the lower yield point YL, the plastic deformation of the specimen increases. That is, ductile extension takes place. During the extension, the cross-sectional area decreases uniformly all over the length such that the volume remains constant. At the point capital U is upper yield point. At the point capital U, the load and the corresponding stress attains is the maximum value. Point U is called ultimate point, and the stress at this point is known as ultimate stress or maximum stress. Ultimate tensile strength is the maximum stress that can be reached in the tension test. Next, we are going to get the breaking point. After the maximum load is reached, local yielding takes place and a neck or waist is formed. As the cross-sectional area decreases considerably, the load carrying capacity of the specimen reduces, and hence the point UB, the strain increases for decrease in stress. So here, if it is the breaking point, here you can see B. So that means there is a considerable decrease in stress with increase in strain. So that is the reason why the curve starts from up to some specific point. As the stress increases, the strain is also increasing. Even after the increase in stress, there is not much considerable increase in strain. Therefore, considerable increase in strain. Hence, in the portion UB, the strain increases for decrease in stress. Even though the nominal stress is decreasing, the actual, that is true stress, which is equal to the load divided by the actual cross-sectional area at neck, will be continuously increasing at point B, the specimen breaks. The stress at this point is called breaking strength or breaking stress or fracture stress, and the corresponding load is called the breaking load. The breaking strength is slightly lower than the ultimate tensile strength. The stresses at which finally the specimen fails is called the breaking point. The nature of fracture for mild steel will be always forms a cup and cone arrangement. So now this is how we are going to be able to explain the stress strain diagram for the ductile material which we are taking consideration as the mild steel. Thank you.